Welcome everyone to my brand new YouTube channel, Mixed Girl POV, where I share my point of view on what's good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, please hit that like button, please comment in the comment section below, and also please share this video. Let's grow together. Thank you so much. How would Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. feel about where our country is right now? Let's talk. I just shared a video where I recited his famous "I have a dream" speech. I decided to recite his speech for multiple reasons. First, I knew that I wanted to discuss today's topic, so I thought that would be good to share as a reference point for everyone. Secondly, some people were in fact alive when he delivered that speech, and maybe they could use a refresher. Thirdly, some of us weren't alive when he delivered his speech. I'm one of those people. Maybe we never heard all of his speech in its entirety. And last, but definitely not least, no matter if we were alive or not when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his historic speech on that day, it appears that our country in general has forgotten this man and his message. How is that so? How could we forget about this historical figure and his dream? It has been less than 50 years since he said those powerful words. I firmly believe that if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was alive today, he would be appalled by what is going on right now in our country. He may be tossing around in his grave right now as we speak. He was supposed to rest in peace, but I believe there's no peace in what's going on right now. Don't forget, when he was fighting the good fight, he was fighting against the Democrats. Yet many people of color feel some sort of allegiance to a party that kept them down back then and is still keeping them down now. Why is that? We now have people on the left, the Democrats, BLM, Antifa, and the like, who are trying to take our country back in time. To the time when that amazing man, Dr. Martin Luther King, was fighting for the civil rights of African Americans. What? Why are they trying to erase this man's legacy? To erase all the hard work that was done by him and others to help move our country forward. He worked hard to try and right some wrongs that were still hanging over us after slavery was abolished here in this country. Did he die in vain? How can we honor this man in so many ways by creating a federal holiday, naming so many schools and streets after him, only to have critical race theory pushers on the left trying to take us back to a time where we did not judge someone based off of the content of their character, but by the color of their skin. Those on the left want us to believe that we all were born in two groups. Some of us were born oppressed, and some of us were born as the oppressors. That's hogwash. That's straight up garbage. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. saw the value in everyone. He had hope in humanity. I believe that he hoped that we would move past looking at someone's skin color to make judgments about them. He would rather have us look at their heart and their actions instead. There are certain things that he shared in his speech that are particular to that moment in time, but there are some that also apply to us now. For instance, he said that African Americans were the victims of police brutality. Yes, they were back then. I mean, think about it. The police would beat up people, let the dogs loose on African Americans. I think they even turned on the water fire hydrants on some people. No one deserved to be treated like that. There are no excuses. I will not make excuses for that kind of behavior because there aren't any. In today's time, there are people who believe that people of color are the victims of police brutality. I just say, get out of here with that nonsense. People of color need to get their acts together and have the proper respect for authority. Follow the darn directions when the police tell you, and don't resist arrest. It's just that simple, folks. It's just that simple. It's not rocket science. It's so easy a kindergartner could do it. We have grown men and women of color who act like 2-year-olds and then complain about crap. Get out of here with that mess. I don't buy it. And I know that many of you don't buy it either. In another instance, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said in his speech that we, meaning basically African Americans, must be careful not to allow their protest to degenerate into violence. He was speaking about the African Americans, but in today's time, we also know that there are people in the BLM and Antifa movement and on the left who aren't African American, but who participate in these supposedly peaceful protests. But anyways, Dr. Martin Luther King wanted us to not allow our protest to degenerate into violence. What does that mean? He would not condone violence. He would not condone the burning of cars and buildings, the looting of businesses. He wouldn't condone beating up people, assaulting people just because they happen to be on the right or lean right with their views. Dr. Martin Luther King would not condone it. He was not about violence. He did not want to bring change through violence. Why have many people on the left forgotten this? Can someone help get that message out to all those people on the left? Did they forget that part of his speech? Because I don't think folks like BLM and Antifa and our sisters and brothers living in the hood got the memo. Just saying. If I was into cursing, I'd say that they go around effing things up. So I'll say instead that they go around messing things up. And think it's okay to do so. Get out of here with that mess. Dr. Martin Luther King also urged African Americans to not allow themselves to get caught up in the whole notion that all Caucasians are the enemy. He didn't want African Americans to distrust all Caucasians. He was smart enough to know that most of them were good people, and that if our country was truly going to move forward in the right direction, we would need to do it together, hand in hand. I really could go on and on about this topic right here. It's so fat and juicy. It's so complicated. There's just so much to talk about. There's so much that needs to be done. I will wrap up with these last few thoughts. Our country raised up a hero. This man's name was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., with whom we begin teaching our children about in kindergarten all the way through grade school, and who we celebrate for his holiday and in Black History Month. Yet, somehow, we as a country have forgotten him and his message along the way. He died fighting for the downtrodden. He died trying to help level the playing field. He gave his life so that his children and others could live in a better world where they were treated with dignity and equality, and where they could live in a country where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So my plea to my fellow American brothers and sisters is this: please don't forget this man and his message. Please don't allow those on the left to continue to divide us. Please don't allow them to teach and preach hate and division. And most importantly, please don't allow them to take our country backwards, back in time to those terrible days. Leave those hateful and divided days in the past. We must keep moving forward as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. urged and pleaded for our country to do. So let's talk. What do you believe about the contribution that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made to our great country? Do you believe that there are many people, especially on the left, who have forgotten this man and his message? Have any other thoughts that you'd like to share? Please comment down in the comment section below and I'll see you there.